Hi, everyone. Welcome to the session. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Kathleen Federici, and I'm the Director of Professional Development for IPMI. And today we have the pleasure of learning about Get More with Less in 2021 with OmniPark President Kelly Birr. Kelly, take it away.
Thank you. Okay, and we have a couple folks just joining. We'll let them in real quick. So I'm Kelly Birr. I'm president and founder of OmniPark. And what I want to talk to you today is about
Kelly?
Yes.
You were muted for a second. Now you're good.
Oh, okay. So we've got some opportunities to do better and to be more efficient going forward. So let me jump into the agenda here. First of all, our discussion topics, and also I tend to move around when I talk, so bear with me here. So Parker experience and consumer behavior. Parker expectations have changed. People, expect us to do better. They expect better things from industry and from technology than what we've traditionally done in the past, and we can make that happen for them. How do we leverage license plates and connected systems? We have this amazing credential on every car. How do we do a better job of using that? How do we earn more revenue and write fewer citations? Some of us, in the industry do make revenue off of citations, but that's generally always plan B for everyone. So how do we make sure we're earning our revenue and writing fewer citations? How are we prioritizing our opportunities to ensure compliance and prioritizing the manpower we have? A lot of the industry has had to downsize in the past 12 months due to just the reduction in demand and the impact of lockdowns and COVID-19. And those downsizings were painful for a lot of operators, for a lot of municipalities, whether you're surface lots, garages, universities, et cetera. We don't want to go through that again. So as we scale up, as the world opens up again, and as we scale up, how do we scale up smarter? How do we take advantage of technology rather than sheer manpower to make us more efficient and grow better in the future? And how do we make highest and best use of time of the manpower we have? And how do we use tech and tools that are available to change the landscape for the better for all of us, for the operators, for the cities, for the vendors, and especially for the customers? So if this makes sense to everyone, I'm going to go ahead and just dive forward and go into it and talk about how we start with experience and consumer behavior, how we introduce technology into the industry. So with parking, definitely, but also in any technology, we have more of it today than ever before, and consumers are now adapting to this. They're getting used to technology driving how they interact with their world. It's different than it was a few years ago. First, when we introduce any kind of new systems, new technology, new ways of interacting with consumers, we innovate. Now, at OmniPark, we've been innovating a lot over the past couple of years, especially last year with the way the world has changed. And a lot of people in the industry have, and we need to continue innovating. But once we come up with great innovation, we need to introduce it. We introduce it to the consumers. That is met with excitement by some and resistance by others. And then we need to go educate people. How do they use it? And more importantly, why? Why should these new processes, these new technologies, why are things better for them? Then we can go out and we can apply it. And this is where we get the consumers to buy in, to opt in to how we're doing. And then we work on compliance with the new processes. And it's this endless cycle of innovation, education, application, and compliance on it. And so how do we actually do this and take advantage of the consumers now being prime and ready to adopt newer and better ways of doing things? So let's dive into some of the tech that really appeals to us today in the parking industry and can make lives better for our consumers. So we all know about LPR and we all know about connected systems, but how do we make these work together? And all of the tech I'm referencing exists today. I'm not talking about anything that's coming soon. I'm talking about tech that exists today from us, from other vendors, and how we can do a better job of applying it to the world as it is now. So we have license plates. Again, we talked about this great credential that's on every car. We have LPR systems. We can see our fixed LPR systems, our mobile LPR systems. We've got handhelds. We've got back-end payment providers and analytics software. And all of this tech is there. The key is you need the hub. You need this bit in the center of this graph that ties everything together and allows you to connect these systems to make use of your data and actually provide this better consumer experience. And so looking at these different options, if I've got garages and I've got large surface lots and I have high volume, high turnover, large locations, fixed mount LPR is perfect. It lets me know who's coming and who's going, and the system can monitor all of it. These are fantastic systems. A lot of large installations already have them. And, we can do a better job of leveraging those. And the pricing is coming way down. There are lease options available. This is much more attainable than it was years ago, even if you don't already have it. In areas where fixed doesn't make sense, where you've got several locations clustered together, say a downtown or on street for, our municipal friends, you've got mobile LPR vehicles that can just make a sweep through. Airports can make a sweep through a lot. If you've got 15 surface lots all in a downtown, you can just go on a circuit and a rotation through where maybe fixed installations at every lot don't make sense. And then finally, there's always going to be nooks and crannies where fixed doesn't make sense and mobile isn't necessarily the most efficient. And this is where handheld solutions, whether it's handheld LPR from us, from other vendors, or whether it's even just manual entry. This is where run-of-the-mill cell phones and handheld LPR systems can tie into all of this. And we bring it all to a hub when we can connect all these systems, when we connect our payment providers, when we connect our permitting systems, when we can connect consumer opt-in choice and known parkers and all of these plates coming in and out of our lots and that we're seeing, we can make the experience better. And we can make more money doing it with less manpower. So let's talk about data-driven disbursement of our manpower, of our opportunities, and how we use data to improve. So I'm going to go through a couple of scenarios here. Lot one, we have a parker in compliance. They pull into the lot, we see our time, they've made a payment or have opted in through our systems to pay us automatically when they enter the lot. Check, we're good. We don't need to go to the lot. We don't need to do anything. We're getting paid with no effort and nothing out of the ordinary on the consumer's behalf, right? There's no friction, there's no problem. Location number two, right? We have a vehicle come into the lot. They don't go make an advance payment, for example, or they don't set up for payment. Well, why don't we just send them a bill? Why can't parking be as easy as crossing a toll bridge? We already have the credential. We probably already know the parker from past experience or from, access to information. If we're in a business-friendly state, we can certainly get the information through either direct access or through partner systems. So why can't we just send them a bill? And I'm not even talking about printing and mailing. Yes, that's an option, but there are ways to get email addresses. We can use text messages if they've opted in. If we know this person, we can just bill them or even automatically charge them if they've opted in for that, when we see them come in and not make otherwise advanced payment. Again, we can make this frictionless. We can make this easy. That point of friction of going out and putting a citation on their car is something we can avoid in ideal circumstances and in a lot of circumstances. And finally, lot three, out of compliance here. Car comes in, doesn't make a payment, not a known parker. We have to go down the road of actually writing a citation, putting it on their vehicle. Those cases are still going to exist. We can still do them, but they can be the minority. And when we do it, we can do it smart. There is no reason we can't have LPR systems or check systems tell us how many citations we're going to go write at a lot before we do it. We have the data. We have the way to get the data. So why, and our poll question we were going to send out is, how many of us are going and manually auditing large locations with people every day? We don't have to do that anymore, folks. We really don't. We have technology that can do most of this for us. We have connected systems that can make smart decisions. And even if we do have to dispatch a compliance officer or an attendant to go issue citations, we can be smart about it and only send them where it actually needs to be done. So I'm going to go ahead and move on. And I know I talk fast. It's lunchtime for half the country, so I'm endeavoring to keep my presentation short on purpose. And then at the end here, changing the landscape, right? I also want to leave plenty of time for questions. So connected systems can create a better ecosystem. Okay, we got to find the right combination of tools. And I'm going to spend a little more time on this slide than the slide would indicate, but there's lots of vendors and lots of tools. OmniPark is one. We have a lot of tools. We also work in friendly co-opetition with a lot of other vendors in the industry. Most vendors, most solutions, most tech providers can be key parts of this system. There are, multiple LPR and ANPR solutions. I have my preference, the ones I like, but there are plenty out there. There are multiple enforcement systems. There are multiple payment providers. There are multiple permit providers. Most of us in the industry are all willing to work together. And that goes into my second bullet point, is parking vendors have to work together. I don't know if I have largely operators in attendance or I have other vendors in attendance, but most of us are willing to work together, even if we compete a little. There's friendly co-opetition, a lot of it in this industry. We all know each other and we're happy to work together. And so if we can connect all our systems here and we can all work together, we can drive efficiency for the cities, we can drive efficiency for the operators, and more importantly, going to the third side, we can create a better public experience. As a parker, I just want to pull into a lot that I frequent. There's a couple of restaurants here where I am, downtown Gilbert, just outside of Phoenix, Arizona, that I like to frequent. I love to go out to lunch with my family. I want to just pull into the lot. I want to walk into the restaurant. I want to eat. I want to come back and I want to leave. I'm happy to pay for parking. I just don't want the hassle. So how do we make that happen for them? I don't go often enough to really buy a permit, but there are solutions. I mean, I use my mobile app to pay most of the time, and there's multiple parking mobile apps. I don't really want the hassle of going to a kiosk in the lot, but they're usually there, and some people prefer that. But how do we connect all of this so we don't have someone walking around, in Phoenix, you got to worry about, are you having someone standing out there in 120-degree sun? In some parts of the country right now, are they out there in a blizzard trying to ensure that the parkers are compliant? And then they're still dealing with the friction of having to do that. Coming out of a nice dinner with my wife and finding a citation on my dashboard because I forgot to pay or I didn't pay for long enough is a frustrating customer experience. And that generally represents lost revenue for the city or lost revenue for the operator. We can do better as an industry. I think we should do better, and we owe it to our consumers to do better. Consumers expect an Amazon-like experience now. The world is different than it was. People, I tap my Amazon app and I buy groceries and a new laptop and it shows up tomorrow. That's the kind of experience people demand from technology. That's what they're looking for. Toll bridges, which are notorious projects for running over budget and over time and everything that goes on in a lot of that kind of construction and planning. But the toll bridge systems are beautiful. That's an easy experience for the customer. You drive over the bridge, you get a bill, you sign up. Next time you drive over the bridge, it just charges you, dings your account. There's a lot of things we can do. We have the technology. We can do better as an industry. And I'm encouraging us all to come together and to do better. And rather than, having to potentially go through pain again as lockdowns come and go and, as the industry changes, we can use technology here to maybe not have to staff up quite as much. Maybe we still do. I mean, hey, great. I'm all for creating jobs, but can we be smarter about the way we scale? Can we scale to meet the new demand of the country and North America and the world opening up again and meet the demand in a better experience for better ways to interact with our parkers and our customers and create a frictionless pattern for everyone where we all make more money together and we improve how it's going for everyone else. Because when others do well, we'll do well. And that's the end of my presentation. The questions, I wanted to leave plenty of time for questions. I'm sure I'll generate a few. First question that I'll just answer that someone asked is, can you really get all this today? And the answer is yes. Yes, of course you can. All of the pieces exist today. We're happy to help with it. There are competing vendors that can do it. I'm here to talk high level about the fact that we can do this as an industry, and let's do this. So aside from that, I'll open it up to questions for anyone else who has any.
Feel free to unmute yourself and ask a question, or you can type your question or comment in chat and we'll read it. We'll read it aloud.
Kelly, when you're talking about the frictionless parking, when you talk about use of an app, is it something that you would have to get installed in your car that would RFID it, or how does that technology piece of it work?
Well, so that tech is around, and some of that is there. You could use RFID systems. You could, tap on entry, but I'm actually talking about even simpler than that. I mean, there are already mobile payment apps. Most lots have them today. I mean, OmniPark has one. There's Park Mobile. There's Pay by Phone. There's Passport. There's multiple out there. And so the real key is, how can we take advantage of apps the customers are already using, tied into other systems we already have in place to recognize people coming and going from our locations, to know that we have parkers in compliance, versus looking at the delta there where I can say, hey, I know cars are coming into my lot, but I'm not seeing them making payments through the mobile apps. I'm not seeing them making payments through my back-end enabled kiosks that are feeding the systems and connected together. So then I'm going to know who's out of compliance in my facilities, in my locations. So I can either be intelligent about dispatching the checker, or I can just use that license plate information that I've already got in the back end, and the system can just bill them for it. Well, I guess what I'm saying is, yes, RFID is certainly an option, and there are some great RFID options for, garage entry, tying that into the LPR to say, okay, well, we can ignore this plate because they have an access key. We don't have to worry about, we know they're in compliance. We can also just use the plate as a credential, and we can actually avoid that complication and that expense. I don't think we need the customers to download a new app. The customers already have apps. In fact, we might not need an app at all. If the customer just signs, I don't need an app to drive across a toll bridge. I don't need an app to drive across the, I-294, the 294 in Chicago, when I want to get south from the airport real fast. Want to get to the 55. Anyway, I don't need an app for that. It just works. And we can do that.
Right.
Any other questions? Oh.
I was going to say, do you have that one? So there's a question about how many citations are in a lot before going to enforce in a university setting where there are many barrier-free lots. Is that still an option?
It's absolutely an option. And it's going to depend on the characteristics of your lot, on how you do it. But there is no question that you can do it. So, if there are lots of small lots, my recommendation is, and you probably already have a mobile LPR rig. If you don't, retrofit one of your existing security vehicles that's doing sweeps. Okay, perfect. David, you already have a mobile LPR. So what's very simple is, you're making regular sweeps through the lot. Well, this is going to be a timed parking scenario where you're going to allow free, either barrier free, meaning they can come in. Well, again, by connecting that, like, for example, our systems are connected in with auto view systems and, other systems. So it's automatically evaluating every plate that's coming in and how long it's been there and how long we know it's been there. And you can tell, is the vehicle over time? Have they made a payment, by evaluating all the other systems? And so you don't need gates, you don't need barriers, you don't need to stop them. You can just see, is there a payment on this vehicle? Has it been there within the free allotted time? Or if there's no free allotted time, and especially in a university setting, you probably already know most of the parkers. And if it's a parker you don't know, if it's a plate you've never seen before, well, again, are you in a business friendly state where you can just, pull the owner info on the plate and send them a bill? Or if you're not, then yes, then you're going to know ahead of time by clustering. Again, one of the features we offer, and that other can also, can tell you, hey, these are the locations that have potentially out of compliant parkers, go check them. And so you're actually going to highest best use of time for your security personnel.
There's another question regarding Bluetooth technology and how it's related to garage access and integration with payments.
Yes. Okay. So Bluetooth is a really cool opportunity. That is one where we'd be looking at using mobile payments, where the credential, rather than necessarily having to use the plate as the credential, you would tie it into an app on the mobile phone, and that app is going to sync up with Bluetooth, usually with the hub or device at the entrance, at the ingress egress points in the lots. So the idea, as I pull into the lot, I open my app and I tap let me in. Now that can still snap my plate if you have the camera. That can ties these together and says that, hey, I have used my credential to get in. It fundamentally works exactly the same way as an HID or NFC card that I would tap against something, but I don't need another device. I don't need a card. I don't need anything sent to me that I can lose. I just use my phone. I use an app. I actually have a public storage is a great example of a company that's rolled out similar technology, in the storage facilities. And I have one down the street from my house. And when I go there, I don't need to remember my code anymore. I just open my app that's connected to my account. I push the button. It uses Bluetooth to talk to the gate. It opens and they know I'm good to go. Well, we can connect those same credentials through these same systems you already have to let people in and out with Bluetooth, or to recognize proximity to a Bluetooth device in the location to grant access to an individual or confirm their access, that they are a compliant parker.
If you have any questions or comments, please type them in chat or unmute yourself and ask.
Technology that guides enforcement to more targeted activity. Yes, technology that guides enforcement to more targeted activity. Absolutely. And that's a key thing that I'm talking about, whether it's block faces on streets, clustered areas on streets, surface lots. I have a lot of customers who run surface lots in downtowns or around cities where they've got a lot of surface lots. They're on the same area, and it's how do you ensure that your folks that are going to ensure compliance, that are going to either issue citations, if you decide that issuing citations is still the right approach, go to the place. And the key is to collect all the data. You can do it through the fixed mount LPR cameras. You can do it through a single pass someone makes with just a mobile LPR phone, where they just simply walk through, read all the plates, and then they leave, and someone else can follow up later with the book of citations. Mobile LPR is a great solution for that. For on-street especially, you have someone drive through, but those vehicles, you want to keep them moving. So just have someone drive through with the mobile LPR. They just drive their circuit of the streets in their prescribed route, and the system will learn everything. It'll track everything. It'll know, it'll tap them and say this vehicle's over time, and all they need to do is tap a button and move on. And they just keep driving. And then you have someone else follow behind. You only need 2 people to track an entire downtown. One that drives the LPR rig around in a constant circuit to make sure you're properly charging people and that you're recognizing cars in and out of compliance. And then you have someone else just follow up and go put the citations on the dashboards, or wheel lock the cars, or tow them. Again, it depends on your scenario. For most municipal, you're just going to put a citation. You can have an officer come through and issue the citation. You don't need an officer driving the truck. You can have anyone drive the vehicle through that's just reading everything, and then you just send officers to issue the citations. What sort of costs are associated with the remote billing? So there are sometimes the remote billing can have costs. And again, that depends. If it's a known parker, you've got an opt-in, it may be automatic. We provide solutions for that. It may be that, you've had prior interaction with this person, you have an email address, in which case there's no cost. You just email them and say, hey, you owe me $10. If you have to go look them up, yes, there can be costs, and there are third-party services, and they're generally pretty reasonable. You're talking $1 or $2 often to get a lookup and actually send the person a notice of payment due in the mail. Maybe you do it on the first violation. Maybe you wait until you have 2 from the person before you do that. If you're running a series of locations, or if it's on street, you're likely going to get to a couple of fairly quickly. Even then, if you're writing a $10 to $15 ticket, you put in $1. The average based on my analytics are about 1 in 3 citations that go out in the mail get paid. So as long as your cost is low enough, on doing it, if you're spending $1 or $2 and you're writing $15, $20, $30 citations, the ROI is clearly there. I've been doing this for 20 years, running analytics in this business, and the ROI is definitely there to do it. What about sensor technology, some kind of safety sensor that sends this data to the enforcement? So yes, again, I focused a lot on LPR, fixed and mobile LPR technology, and handheld LPR technology. There are some really cool options for in-pavement sensors for locations to talk to you about occupancy. There are also sensors that'll use security cameras that may already be in the lot to draw regions and zones and tell when cars in and aren't in stalls. So there are some interesting options to do stall-based instead of plate-based. We have experimented with that. Using stall-based payments from both meters and mobile payment apps versus stall-based sensors. The challenge I see with the stall-based is it doesn't really go well to the remote billing because you don't have any credential. All you know is the vehicle's in the stall. It is entirely feasible, and you can still do the clustered and the guided enforcement with that, the intelligent dispatch that we've talked about, to make maximum use of your checkers and not bother going there if there aren't potentially out of compliance vehicles. But what it doesn't help you do is tie that credential together. You don't know if maybe they validated, etc. So it is viable, but also that those sensors can be pricey. There are great use cases for them. My experience, LPR solutions are less expensive.
I know
And
John
more flexible.
Crawford was trying to ask a question. I don't know if you're unmuted or not, John, but if you're not, you can always type it in the chat section.
Yeah, I think I'm unmuted now. I typed part of it in there, but when we're looking at taking over a new lot that was not being charged before.
Okay.
You put multiple payment methods in, like a kiosk, maybe a pay by phone type situation, and then
Absolutely.
layer LPR on it.
We do that today in about 1,000 lots, and we're not the only one who can do it. Yes, you can absolutely have multiple. Give your consumers all the option in the world. You can have multiple mobile payment apps and a kiosk in the lot, and the ability for them to do, virtual permitting. One of my favorite innovations in the industry recently, and we're part of this, is virtual permitting. I don't want to get a hang tag anymore. I just want to buy my monthly pass. I want it to hit my credit card every month, and I give you my license plate, and I just never get a ticket. Nice and easy. I lived in Seattle for 15 years. I used to do it there. It was great. But multiple is no problem. Again, it's all about that hub in the center. If you saw that part of my presentation, I know some folks joined. As long as you've got the software and the systems that can take all of these sources of data, multiple LPR systems, multiple payment systems, can intelligently pull it all together and figure out who is and is not in compliance, and help you bill the folks who aren't and honor the folks who are, then you're in good shape.
We do have a couple more minutes if anybody else has any additional questions.
Okay, well, if we're down to the last minute and potentially out of questions, I will just say thank you to everyone for, hearing me rant about how we should do better for our customers and for the industry for a half an hour. I appreciate you showing up, again, especially for those of you on the left-hand side of the country that are doing this over your lunch hour. And I look forward to talking to you in the future.
Thank you. Thank you, Kelly, and thank you, Rebecca. Thank you to everyone who participated today. Did I lose everybody? No, there you are. Oh, it just went blank on me. I'm sorry. Coming up next from 3:15 to 4:15, we have curbside management, understanding disruption and demand-based responses, as well as how and where to strategically locate public electric vehicle charging infrastructure, a New York City case study. We look forward to seeing you there, and thanks so much. Have a great day.